My, how times have changed. Hello friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily Reddit content anywhere on the internet. Promise, totally swearsies. Anyways, today we are hopping into rSlash MaliciousCompliance. Yes, indeed. Because somebody told me that I should make more YouTube videos, but they didn't tell me what kind of YouTube videos I should make. Muhahaha. Anyways, without any further delay, let's jump into these stories. Just another night on the ward. So this was a few years ago, 2016, and my sister's story in the UK. The TLDR is at the bottom. Not sure if this belongs here, but here we go. I've lived in London my whole life, and seen my area develop through the years, especially diversity of the people. It was the day after the referendum vote, and the results were in. I won't go into how unhappy I was with the result, but the UK had decided. For any non-EU readers, basically, Brexit. In the wake of the Brexit result, hate crimes spiked massively. I had personally been told to F off, go back to my own country on my way to work that morning. Classy. Okay, enough background info. Get it together, OP. So, my sister was at a senior position at a busy London hospital in one of the most ethnically diverse communities. It was on a night shift, around 9 p.m., the day after the referendum, when an older white lady came into the hospital with her 19-year-old daughter who was suspected to be in labor. She approached the front, provided her notes, and was triaged. It wasn't the busiest night, and she'd only had to wait about 3 minutes before she was ready to be taken into the ward for examination. My sister, being a manager, looked over her notes. She was 38 weeks, low risk, first baby, and contractions were about 20 minutes apart, so she would probably be examined and sent home with the advice to return later. She approached them in the waiting area when she noticed disgust on the mother's face, and her whisper something to the daughter, who then rolled her eyes. It's important to note at this point, my sister, petite and fairly baby-faced, she had been qualified for over 7 years at that time, was so used to people assuming that she was not qualified yet and judging her based on her appearance. The older lady stood up whilst her daughter was still seated, and the conversation went like this. Mother, no, not gonna happen. My sister, I'm sorry? Mother, it's not gonna happen. Nope. Keep walking. My sister, sorry, could you please explain what's going on? Mother started talking super slowly, as if my sister didn't understand English. Mother, I'm going to make this clear so you can hurry up and get someone who can actually do their job. We want someone white to deliver this baby. We have the right to do this, just like you lot do with translators. So go and get someone white. Holy crap. My sister, I'm sorry, miss, but Mother, do you not understand? I don't want your dirty brown hands touching my granddaughter, so go and get someone else. Holy crap, can you refuse people's service even at a hospital? I'd be like, go have this baby in the dumpster where it belongs. Then again, it's not really the mother's baby, it's the daughter's baby, but I mean the daughter's staying silent. Silence is consent. Stand up, say something. Get your mother in check. My sister to the daughter, are you confirming that you're refusing treatment from myself or any other non-white staff members on my ward? Mother, yeah, she is. Why are you still standing here? Sister, I need to hear that from your daughter. Again, is that what you're confirming? Daughter didn't look like she could care less at this point, with both of them spitting as they spoke. Daughter,
yes! I only want to be seen by someone white! No blacks and no pixies!
My sister, so you understand what you're saying. You have the right to refuse treatment, as we do in treating... Daughter,
yes! You can just go, man! You're getting on my nerves! Ugh!
Mother speaking over the daughter, we don't want any dirty pixies or mankeys near my daughter. What don't you understand? Just frick off and get someone white out here. And I don't mean any foreigners who can barely speak English either. Mother starts to talk to her daughter about how happy she is that once Brexit is over, she won't have to deal with these idiots everywhere, etc. Bearing in mind, Brexit's true concept was nothing to do with race, and doesn't mean any less Black, Asian, minority ethnic workers. It seemed like a lot of people thought it meant sending Asians and Africans to their home countries, even if they're British. At this point, my sister goes onto her ward, tells a few of the staff what's going on and that there's a lady out there who doesn't want to be seen by anyone unless they're white. This is where they comply. They had just one white woman who worked on the ward who was in fact on rest days and lived about 2 hours away. They continued on with their night and carried on triaging and taking women into the ward. My sister asked others going out there to keep an eye on the situation before she went back out to admit another lady into the ward about 50 minutes later. Mother:
There she is, stupid cow! Oi, you!
Daughter:
Oi, I'm still waiting! Are you getting someone to look at me or not? Otherwise, I'll go home!
Rolls eyes. Sister: Sorry. I clearly recall that you didn't want any non-white people helping you. Unfortunately, this is area name, and all of the staff on my ward tonight have dirty brown hands, so you may need to go and visit X hospital or Y hospital where they can help you further. If you go home without examination and your contractions are 4 to 6 minutes apart, then I'm happy for you to return and deliver on our ward. But our hands, although gloved, would need to touch your baby. Mother:
Are you taking the piss? We've been waiting for a freaking hour for you to tell me this bull? Go and get your supervisor, you grunt!
Sister: I am the ward manager tonight. You can take the above advice, and I can help you, or security can escort you out. Daughter:
Start swearing!
And they both left. About 5 a.m. they both came back in with the father of the baby, also about 19, and my sister was called to deal with them. Daughter visibly in pain and wincing as she spoke. My sister to daughter: Hi, we're gonna take you into the ward now. I'll go get you a porter. Daughter:
Alright, thanks!
Mother visibly annoyed.
I'm guessing you've had enough time to get someone else in then?
Sister: No, that's not how this works. Daughter:
Mom, just leave it! I don't care who helps, just stop it!
My, how times have changed. Mother:
No, this is the issue with your kind.
Your kind?
You think you're above?
My sister: Your daughter's in labor. Either you get escorted out by security and wait outside until your granddaughter is born, or you shut up, keep your opinions to yourself, and get to stay for the delivery. This is not about you right now. Is that clear? Mother:
No, I don't care. I don't want to see someone like you touching up on my granddaughter.
Sister: Okay, understood. You won't. My sister called security and had the mother escorted off the ward so she wouldn't have to technically witness it. The daughter actually ended up being much nicer and said she was happy her mother wasn't there. Apparently, the mother didn't look my sister in the eye when she later came into the room to see the baby. TLDR. Edit. Post removed as I used some acronyms in the conversation. Had to rewrite names for it, so it may read weirdly. Some info removed to ensure more anonymity. Lord, man, there was quite some language in that one. I hope it's okay. YouTube, please no demonetize. But yeah, I'm absolutely shocked that somebody would speak that way to another person. Wow, what is wrong with you, woman? This kind of feels like just a thinly veiled anti-Brexit post, but I do realize that there are people out there like this in the world, unfortunately. I don't really want to speak on Brexit because I hate to polarize the audience, and I'm not even British. But it's definitely not a race thing. It seems unfortunate that having a country maintain its sovereignty, which should be a good political move, has now made racists crawl out of the woodwork and be like, hey, our opinion's popular. It's like, no, dude. Totally nuts. But anyways, we'll move on from this. I'm going to back far, far away from this story. And we'll jump into the next one. New owner wants us to carry garbage bags through a crowded restaurant. Okay, you're the boss. Appetizing. This is another story about my bartending days, and I'll preface it by saying, even though it got my point across, not then, nor do I now feel good about what happened here. Oh, those are the best kinds. So, slight backstory. I was working as a bar manager in a student pub. The new owner and I hated each other. It was actually scary just how deep that hatred ran. However, I was his fastest bartender, and simply too popular amongst the other employees to just fire. So instead, he would always belittle me in front of clients or other staff members, and find ways to make my job more insufferable. I'm guessing in hopes that I would simply quit. So the bar was at the front of the store, the exit was right by the front entrance, which led through a caged-off alley, which led to the alley where we dumped all the garbage from the bar and the restaurant. We had always carried the refuse out that way. It was easy, effective, and we didn't have to walk through the restaurant carrying garbage bags. So obviously the new owner made the rational decision to start locking that way off and forbidding us from using it. This meant we now had to walk through the restaurant, where people were eating, up a mini stairwell, and through the kitchen. I don't even know how many health and safety regulations this was violating. I had protested this at several staff meetings, explaining to him that us not being allowed to go that way doubled the trip, which left the bar a man short for double the time. It was also double the time for the bags to tear, considering that they were usually filled with heavy and sometimes broken bottles, and mostly, it was just unsanitary walking through the restaurant and kitchen with bags that were usually dripping fluids. So obviously, he refused, and said that we will continue doing it his way. Cut forward a few nights later, and the place was packed, likely to overcapacity, but for in case it wasn't clear, safety concerns weren't much of a priority for this twanger. I should also point out that the bar only had one garbage bin, which had filled up several beer bottles ago. The other bartenders had been ignoring it because if you're carrying out garbage bags, then you're not serving customers, and if you're not serving customers, you're not making tips. So I decided to take this task upon myself and venture out to the bar. I felt like Frodo carrying the ring to Mordor. As I mentioned, the bag was already over its recommended weight capacity, so I had to get through this crowd fast, because I could feel that it was going to tear quickly. Some of the glass had broken inside the bag too, and it started cutting into me as I tried carrying the bag from the bottom to keep it from tearing open, all the while fighting my way through a crowd of drunk students. I finally made it to the mini stairwell by the kitchen, where the drunk owner and a random girl were sitting on the stairs. The bag was now super close to tearing, and my hands were covered in blood from getting cut by the glass. I tried getting the stupid boss's attention, begging him to move so I could get past. Boss ignored me. I'll say that the first time it was entirely possible that he may not have heard me over the crowd and the loud music, so I tried again. This time, he looked straight at me, and then continued to ignore me. Cue the malicious compliance, as I lifted the bag right over him and the girl, just for it to tear open right above them, drowning them both in dripping bottles of beer and pieces of shattered glass. Holy crap, dude! This is the most malicious of compliances. I felt bad for the girl. She had not deserved this. As for the owner, screw him. The kitchen staff had heard the crash and the screams, and ran out to clean the mess. I tried helping, but they told me to go back to the bar. A few seconds later, the owner came storming into the bar, screaming at me, and asking what possessed me to try and lift a garbage bag over the head of him and a customer. I innocently said that I wouldn't have had to if he had just let us go through the alley. The owner gave me the biggest death glare that I've ever gotten, then took the alley key off his keyring, threw it at me, and stormed out of the bar. So, even though I'd been forced to cover a girl in glass to get my point across, I still walked out of this battle victorious. A worthy sacrifice. Just to add, this happened back in 2008, and I haven't bartended since 2009. I just enjoy recalling these stories because of how absurd that place was. But unfortunately, I won't be able to use any of that advice anymore on how I could rectify this. For those upset about me endangering the girl, I agree. I think I literally said that in the first sentence of this story, that I felt bad about it, and I still do to this day. But she wasn't injured, neither was my stupid boss, unfortunately, and this was 12 years ago. I was barely older than 19, and we all did things in our younger years that we weren't proud of. Preach. Lastly, it just annoys me that I have to add this, but I'm not from the US. The legal drinking age in my country is 18, not 21. Therefore, I was legally allowed to serve alcohol before turning 21. Oh boy, if I think back to when I was 19, I was such a reckless little punk. God. Fresh into the Navy, in Japan, my first time drinking because the drinking age there is also 18, so I got to start drinking a little earlier than I normally would have had I stayed in the US. So that was a nice treat, but oh my god, it turned me into such a belligerent asshole. I recall this one time, my buddy Mike, I'm not gonna say his last name, but his first name was Mike, and I went out to this bar, right? We got a little bit drunk. I ran down to cigarettes. I'm like, hey, Mike, let me get a cigarette. He's like, sure, Dayton. So he hands me a cigarette, and I don't know what possessed me, but for some reason, I'm just like, thanks, buddy, and punched him in the eye. Like, I still to this day feel like such a dick about it, and I don't know what came over me in that moment. We're having tequila shots. I gotta blame the tequila. God, that's the devil's juice, I'll tell you what. Nowadays, I don't drink too much, but I do make a lot of YouTube videos. So you guys should like, comment, and or subscribe if you did enjoy this episode. Join us again tomorrow for rSlash Entitled Parents. And do not forget to keep yourselves safe out there by washing your hands 3, 4, 5 times a day. As often as you feel like it, whenever you think about it. Right after this video ends, you should go do it. And oh look, the video's over. Bye.